For those of you who know me, my name is Michelle Applewhite Smack. And today is July the 15th, 2011. On this date was a big major tragedy in my life. On this date was the day that my son was murdered by a babysitter. For so many years, this day for me has been marked as a black day in history for me. But today when I got up this morning, I felt different. I felt different on my inner man. Nothing has changed. Situation hasn't changed, but I have changed. I always felt like a victim concerning this situation, but today I feel like I'm victorious. The beginning of the year, I went through a process of working on release, learning how to forgive, learning how to let go, learning how to just realize it's okay. When the tragedy took place in my life, there were some Christians who gathered around and said, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't show any emotions, don't let the enemy know that he got you. Don't let people see the pain in your face. So for so many years, I pretty much lived a lie like I was okay. And when the ceiling hit the fan, I realized that Michelle was not okay. So the beginning of this year, I said, I'm going to learn to let all this hatred, release all this bitterness, release all this pain, and go through this process of letting God heal me. I woke up today and I realized that I have a testimony. Through so many years, I've not shared my story. A lot of people that know me did not know that I had a 3-year-old son that was murdered because I didn't open up my mouth. I felt like if I wasn't healed in that area, then I couldn't share my pain. And people watched me go through and hold on and not utter a word. I became hard concerning my emotions. I wouldn't cry. But I'm telling you, on Monday, I broke. I released, I cried, I forgave, I repented, I let go of the guilt, the shame, the bitterness, everything that was in my heart. There's still things, there's still some residue that God is working on. But the fact of the matter is that I'm letting Him work on them. I do realize that my story, my testimony, all of Seaford knew about it. It was maybe like a 1.5 year process, that going through the court, going through the trial, where his lawyers tried to flip it and say that it was my fault, even though I wasn't in town, and I held that. I just was like, how can a person lose their child and then the person that did it accuse the mother? I went through that. Didn't understand that. Didn't understand that God had a story. Didn't understand God had a plan for me. Didn't understand that God was giving me a testimony of victory. The message I run with now is learning to forgive. Forgiveness is something big in my heart right now. Learning to release. I do feel like holding on to the bitterness and holding on to the pain and the anger inside of my heart played a big part of the cancer. Having to deal with that. I noticed that once I learned to release, my heart got lighter and lighter and lighter. I would preach the scripture, I would tell people the scripture, but I would never live by the scripture that said He healed. I didn't believe that he could heal me. I didn't believe that he could free me of burden. He could free me of pain. I believed it for everybody else, but I didn't believe it for me. I thank God that in this tragedy, I didn't lose my mind. I didn't go crazy. The doctors didn't have to put me on any kind of medicine to calm my nerves down. I didn't flip out on people. It made me have a compassion towards single mothers that were struggling. I get an opportunity every now and then to share with single mothers, don't take your anger out on your kids. Watch where you take your kids. Watch the babysitters that you take them to. Always be spirit-led. Always use discernment. My mother always said, nowadays you have to use discernment for everything. You really do, because you don't know who's who. Learn to cover your kids. Learn to pray with your kids before they leave. Sometimes there's some women who are so angry and get so mad with their kids and just beat them out of anger. Just pray. Ask God to give you directions. If you need help and you're struggling, grab somebody. Tell somebody, hey, I need help. I'm struggling right now. Because if you've never known what it is to live with the loss of a loved one, it's as if there is an empty spot in your heart. It's like a knife that turns every day, that you can't stop it from turning. The only thing that can stop that pain is God. And I thank God that I'm a survivor on today. On July the 15th, today, I am a survivor. I will be celebrating my son's life. It was a testimony. People got saved at his funeral. That's a testimony. That's a testimony. So today, again, this is not a depressing day for me. This is a day of victory, that I'm healed. And there's still yet more healing that God has to do. But this is a day that I can open up my mouth and say, I no longer hate the person that killed my son. At the beginning of the year, God gave me an opportunity to be able to see him face to face. I would have never known or even thought that I would be able to stand up and hug him, embrace him with love, with no hidden motive, no hidden agenda, no nothing. And from that point on, that's when I realized that God was doing a work in me. And that at that point was when I realized that people were watching all these many years how I was going through this situation. So that is why today I wanted to make a video to my friends that know the situation, to my friends that are still grieving, because a lot of people are still grieving over this tragedy. There are a lot of people who have not let go and who have not forgiven that individual for this tragedy. Coming from the mother who lost the son, I beg and I plead, forgive, release, so you can move on. Yes, your feelings are real, but release. Forgiveness helps you as well as it helps them. Forgiveness frees you as well as it frees them. So just know on today, on July the 15th, 2011, Michelle Applewhite Smack is free. I'm free. I'm finally free. So look out in books. I'm going to write about it. I'm going to make plays about it. I'm even going to dance and releasing it out of my spirit. So to those hurting women out there who have lost a loved one, a child, I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. Just trust God. Just trust him, knowing that he's going to heal you, and that this situation will strengthen you to be able to strengthen someone else. Be blessed.